And a big thing for me was always to create a business that was an attraction business for people to work in. I wanted the phone to ring to say, "Have you got any jobs?" or an email to come through, I've been watching you. I'd really like to work there." And for me to say no vacancy, but I'll put you on a wait list. That's the if you can create a business that actually takes on board everything from your team, cares about the mental, well-being of the team. I see that if we can do that, then, the 2 team members that I push to the brink are not gonna leave, like, if they've got the tools and the information that's available to us now, we have to keep innovating so that we adapt and change for that younger generation. There's a big skill gap, I think. You're seeing property managers of 20 years are still around, like, they exist, but the property managers of 8 to 10 years, they're going, "Hang on a sec, there's more out there." So, I think being innovative and not really doing it the normal way, actually then creating new pathways of things to be done a little bit differently, that's what's going to keep people in the industry and make it a real profession rather than just a job you do out of high school.
Welcome to another episode of the Property Management Podcast. Thank you so much for having me in your ears. Now, have you been using AI or artificial intelligence in your business yet? If not, why? If you want to know all about the ins and outs of AI and some of the best AI to use inside real estate businesses, go back and take a listen to episode 79. But this episode today is a little bit different. We're talking about ways to innovate your business using AI. We're talking about practical everyday ways that you can leverage it to save you time, make more money, and improve your business, your team's performance, and even your customer service. And you may be thinking, come on, Kylie, that is BS. But it's not. Because I have a guest on this episode who's done all of those things in her business and so much more using AI. Meet Beau Millier. She's a property management business owner in Queensland, and she's actually in my core area. Beau started in real estate in 1998 at the age of 17 and was driving prospective tenants from house to house, if you can believe that. With experience in leading real estate businesses across Tasmania and Queensland, and sales and management experience with the largest real estate software company of its time, Beau has a wealth of knowledge and an energy that is unmatched. In 2005, Beau and her husband moved to Ipswich after a defence relocation to the Ambley Air Force Base. Shortly after, the Beautique Realty business began. Beau's absolute passion and first baby is to create a winning experience for her clients and a legacy for the real estate industry. Beautique Realty is an example for the future of independent property management agencies. Beau is an absolute leader in the industry, and in 2009 and 2020, she finished in the top 12 out of over 350 agents Australia-wide in the Elite Agent Transform Challenge. With values that ensure the end-to-end result is strategically aligned for success, you can be sure that Beau will ensure her team delivers on its promise with a personal touch that can be depended upon. Now, I've followed her journey for years, and the one thing about Beau is that I admire and love the most is that she is the ultimate go-getter. She is an ideas person, and she doesn't just have ideas though, she follows through and delivers on them. She's also a motorcycle riding enthusiast, a wife, a mother of 2 young boys, and she's a leading innovator in the property management industry. Take a listen to her amazing story and the ways that she is constantly looking to innovate in business. Beau, I have finally got you on the Property Management Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. And before we dive in, can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and your very long career in property management?
Oh, I can. Thank you so much for having me, Kylie. You are an inspiration in the industry, and I do follow your podcasts, and you're sharing some really cool stuff. So keep going.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan, and I do learn every time I listen to somebody else sharing their stuff. It really resonates with me, and then, yeah, it just propels us forward, I think. been in property management industry since the late 90s.
You don't look
So
that old.
I know, I know. I could be one of my children's siblings, I'm sure of it. But yeah, I was in Tassie and I worked for a female independent business, which in the late 90s was extremely rare. My principal licensee, her mum ran the sales business, which was separate. And I worked in the property management business, and her mum was on the REIQ, or not REIQ, REIT board. And she was the only female auctioneer in Tasmania. And so I suppose I started out my career with some bloody amazing mentors in, what was possible to do, especially I left school straight out of year 10. And so for me, schooling wasn't great, working was where I was headed. And just to have these people as my leaders as a 17-year-old was amazing. And I stayed there for 5 years, and I was able to be a part of what they used to call back then called the Leading Agent Network of Australia. And so what it was a group of independent real estate agents. And I was lucky enough to meet some of those, go off to their conferences. And in the end, I ended up working for the Brisbane leading agent, which just, it cemented that boutique feel for me and what it means to just be out on your own without corporate. I'd not worked for a corporate franchise business, so I didn't know any different, and hence here I am today with Beautique Realty, which has been going for 13 years. And yeah, just started from scratch, building systems, processes from everything I'd learnt over the years. And yeah, here I am.
And that is an amazing story. And you moved to where you are now because of your husband. He's in the defence, is that right? Or he
He
was,
is.
he's still in there?
Yeah. Well, kind of. He's a reservist now. So, unfortunately, when you're a defence member, you have to move all over the country. And majority of spouses of defence people don't manage to have a career. They are in a job for 3 years, and next minute they're bumped off to the new location. So it's really hard to cement a career in that industry. And I always say I was the worst defence wife there was because I refused. I did one posting with James and we moved to Townsville. And looking back, I hated it at the time, but looking back, it was a growth phase for us. And we actually had a ball. They've got a drag strip up there, and we were racing motorbikes and doing stunt work. And that was where I ended up getting into the motorcycle stunting industry, all from a 12-month period. So yeah, it was a great opportunity. But I like I said, I wasn't a great defence wife, and I moved back to Brisbane with Console. I used to work for Console, so they had an opportunity here in Brisbane. I moved back, and we did the distance thing for many years. James got quite a few postings over to East Timor. He was then posted to Sydney, and we did that for quite some time. And then 5 years ago, we got to a point where Beautique Realty had grown, and I was able to say, okay, you can discharge from full time, come home. And yeah, he was able to go into a reservist role. And that all finished up in December, just gone, just before Christmas. Defence life's really hard. He got the phone call 2 weeks before Christmas to say, oh, good news, your contract's actually going to end early. You haven't got another 6 months' work. Good time for Christmas. And that's kind of defence mentality. But in civilian world, that's a big OFUCK moment, because you don't get paid when you don't work as a reservist. So yeah, we had a big transition phase just before Christmas, and he's now set himself up with a business called Veterans Towing. And
I
so
saw
he's
that
got a
on
tow
your
truck.
socials. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so fitting, and it's the timing's right, and you've just got to know that, when something comes up, it's not always a bad thing. It could be an open door, and that's yeah, he's really happy, and yeah, it's cool. It's
That's good.
really cool.
So
Mm.
let me just get this straight though. So you've been running Boutique Realty, your husband's been away working, and you've got two young boys.
Yes, yes, I do.
How the hell have you done that?
With a lot of support, I think. Really great network of friends and family. they probably don't realize how much of a support they are. But my girlfriend flew down from Townsville a couple of weeks ago and spent 2 weeks just in the office doing maintenance for my business because I needed that. James was away again. And yeah, so the people like that just jumped to the party. She's not a property manager. She just went, yeah, I've got a house, I can do maintenance. And off she toddled on a plane. And I've had that throughout my entire career. And I think, leaders in business, male or female, there's always a big support network behind them that really come to the party. So, yeah, full gratitude for that.
And before we dive in, I just want to touch on another thing you mentioned there, which I see on your socials all the time. And I think, bloody hell, how do you do that? You must be some sort of a daredevil, but that is your motorbike riding. Talk to me about how you got into that. What do you do with that? Like, it looks bloody
Yeah.
freaky.
Yeah, I do talk about, from the outside, it looks like a really scary thing to do. But I've been learning how to ride a motorbike since I was 4. Dad was into dirt bike motorbikes and mum was into horses. And so in the end, the motorbikes have won, probably because my husband won't let me get a horse. But the motorbike stuff I've just been learning my whole life, and it's got fear attached to it, but it's more of a learning process when you're riding a motorbike. It's about control, learning each step of the way how to improve. And that aligns really similarly to business. So everything I do in business is to improve the processes, improve the well-being of my team, improve what the service is for the client. Well, every time I get on a racetrack, it's improving the quarter mile, making sure that my takeoffs are as good as the next or better than the next one, and learning from that experience. And I find every time I think of learning to ride a motorbike, it's you just tweak small things, little tweaks along the way makes you a really great rider, and it makes you safer, and there's no real fear attached to it once you become, an expert in that craft. And that's the same with property management. It's every time you've got a new staff member and they don't want to make a call to talk about, the tenant's got the shits on because they can't pay rent, and they can't work out how to use the online app, that they've got to pay it, and they're writing aggressive emails at you and saying, oh, you guys are a bunch of, whatevers. And yeah,
Can
that's gonna be a
relate.
hard phone call, right? But you just gotta do it. You've just gotta make that little step, because each time you do something slightly different, you will learn from that experience. And I suppose, yeah, that's where my motorbike riding's going. And this year I'm going to be doing what they call California Superbike School, which is like a training program to teach you. And so this is my favorite saying, you've got to slow down to speed up.
Yep.
So at a racetrack, you see most of the time everybody's going hell for leather as fast as they can. And that's my favorite thing to do. As fast as I can, get me to the end result. But by going so fast, you make mistakes along the way, and you won't learn from them because you're going so fast. You're not paying attention to those little things that you could change in the meantime. And the difference on a racetrack could be 20 seconds around on a lap, right? James is 20 seconds faster than me. There's no reason I can't be as fast as him. It's that I'm not paying attention to the things that he's already mastered in that process.
Is that a
So when I
competition
say,
between you?
oh, I beat him in drag racing, but I can't beat him in a race circle track yet. Yeah, I've got the trophy to prove it too. So yeah, the biggest thing with my property managers is when I'm teaching them is you just have to slow down to speed up. I know what the end goal is, but if you don't nail the first part or the second part of the process, you're just not going to get to the finish line. You'll give
Absolutely.
up, right? Like it'll just be too hard, and you'll walk away and find something else to do.
No, that is absolutely great advice. I love that. And I love how you've related it to your motorbike riding as well. I didn't even think of it like that. It just looks so terrifying to me. So do horses, actually. They terrify me too. But yeah, that's amazing that, I mean, in awe of you and your bravery with that one,
Oh,
let me tell you. But let's dive into now talking about ChatGPT, which is one of the main topics we're talking about today. So what are some of the ways that you are currently using it in your business or to innovate your business?
Yeah, so ChatGPT was like a lifesaver for me. We had a good team, start of 2023, it must have been. So end of 2022, I had a good team, everything was functioning. I was sitting in the sales space of the business, full-time sales agent, and principal licensee with a senior property manager, two assistant property managers that were literally in property manager space, like they were doing really well. There was cracks, and there was cracks showing in the pressure that I was putting on them to actually really up level and perform, and I pushed too far. Like I pushed the team to a point where I was expecting really high. They're like, hey, we can't get here, and they both resigned within a couple of months, and that was in the Christmas period. We're both in Ipswich here. It's when the defence members are coming in and coming out, and you got vacates and entries, and like, if you're spending 2.5 hours on an entry and 2.5 hours on a vacate, and you got 10 of them that week, and you've only got two people out on the road, there's not actually enough hours in the day. So it's pretty intense. And then they left, like at that period and I get it. Like I get that they were under the pump and pressured. And so we went to a point in the business where we just had to outsource. It was myself and Christine doing, two seniors were pretty quick, at responding because the information's there, but we just physically couldn't get to everything. And then the hardest part is the overwhelm when you have someone unhappy because you haven't got onto something as quick as they're expecting. And the blast of email is like a paragraph long of how bad we're doing. And it might just be about, that there was cockroaches when they moved in, and they're not dead yet because they're still crawling around the house. But in the tenant's eyes, that's a really shit scenario because they've got a newborn baby that's crawling around the floor and they can see cockroaches and they don't know how to deal with it. And we can sit back and go, F's sake, are you serious? We're talking about cockroaches. But in the tenant's eyes, it's a really emotional scenario, so that you have to deal with it. The problem is in the property management space is we all take that on. We take that emotion and we take on the feeling that the tenant's not happy and I've done something wrong. And then we don't want to tell the owner because we don't want to tell the owner it's going to cost money. And it just all becomes a battle of internal, and we go into fear paralysis and we just can't do anything. And so we put it to the too hard basket and it just builds up. And so in January of 2023, we had 680 emails in our inbox.
Can relate again.
Two staff members. And, when we were doing really well, we'd never have more than 100. You'd always smash them out. At the end of the day, 100 was kind of normal to walk into the next day. And I know there's some industries that go, what? You come to work with emails in your inbox? But we do. That's the life of property management. Nothing's ever complete. And so that for us was like, oh shit, we've got to get out of these 680 emails and get there really quickly. And I'd just done some training with Samantha McLean from Elite Agent, and she'd opened up our eyes to this thing called ChatGPT. And I love tech. Like, you give me a new little tool and I am the first one to download. I'm scared to look at my credit card and the amount of subscriptions I pay for. But it was exciting, and it was almost like my brain in a computer all of a sudden, because ChatGPT is like an Excel spreadsheet of information that you can pull from and manipulate it to give you the answer that you want. And I think that's the best explanation of what ChatGPT is. I know there's a lot of scary, AI is scary, it's going to take my job, and I'm not good with tech. Well, it's actually not tech. It's like having a conversation. Actually, and now you can have a conversation with chat. You don't even have to type anymore. You can talk to it. It's cool. So I always implement new things with my team. Always. It's a big thing. Tech, whatever tech I've got, they've got, we're going to do it all together. So of course, the biggest thing that chat can do quickly is descriptions of houses. So we used it for that. Yeah, we can go, can you reword? Because like these new housing estates, every third house is the same. So you can literally just cut and paste from one, put it in a new one, and get it to retweak it so it's fresh for, number 3 Weedbrook instead of number 5 Weedbrook. We can change it, right? So we used it for that. I was sick and tired of every time someone would ask me to proofread a description. I'd don't need to do that. You saw the house. I've probably never even seen the house. So chat's a great proofreader. You just if you've not asked chat first, do not come and ask me. So proofreading was a big thing. And the same goes for email replies. So we started using chat to type email replies. Now, I can type really fast, but these hands, they struggle. After I've done about 10 laps around the racetrack, James has to be waiting in the pits for me to grab the clutch on the way in because my hands are hurting and I'm now 42 and they do not work like a 20-year-old. I'll be on an automatic bike eventually. But the typing speed that chat can work at is way quicker than anyone can type, right? Even me. So it can type and it can type your replies. A big thing that I would use it for is I've just made a phone call to a client and I've made my little notes of the conversation. Then I can say, hey, chat, these are my notes. Can you type that into a confirmation email to tenant?
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, it's
So
cool.
you type in your notes in Property Me, like, tenant called, wanted to know where his rent was paid to and when his lease is being renewed or something like that. I don't know. And then you cut and paste that into chat and say, yeah, thanks for your call. As we discussed, blah, 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 blah. Yep.
Yeah. And then you tell it to write the one for the owner because you're just like, well, you've already got it. So then you're like, can you write my owner email? And the more that you tweak your settings in ChatGPT to make it know that so mine says I'm a property manager and a director of a real estate agency in Ipswich, Queensland. I specialise in homes for defence members and services for defence owners. I've written a children's book and I have a team of 5 people and it's a boutique agency. So it knows who I am and what I am. You can now add your LinkedIn, your Facebook, all of that. So it knows who you are and it starts to learn your behaviors.
Is that sorry to interrupt you. Is that on the free version or the paid version?
I'm on the paid version.
Okay, cool. Yep. All right.
Yeah. But it's like $5 a week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So cheap. So ChatGPT has this thing where you can create your own GPTs. And so I learned from Sam in her training that this ChatGPT creation of your own, I could put in my procedures, I could put in legislation, Occupations Act. I can then reference it to BMT's website, the REIQ and the RTA and tell it to go and draw information from there. And so
wow. Oh my God. I'm mind blown.
I know. I get
amazing.
tingles.
So you there's a section in there where you can add in the links to those organizations. Wow. Okay, cool. Keep going.
I call mine Guru, but you could call it Sally or Anne or Tom or Dick or Harry, like whatever you want to call it. You can create your own. And so what we've got our legislation guru and then we've got our processes guru. And I'm at the moment in the process of creating one, which is like all the phone conversations that we have. So your scripts and dialogues for property managers. So, and this is great because this is like new staff can then go and ask chat, not ask Beau.
Yes.
Maybe we'll call it Ask Beau. Might work.
You should, actually, ask Beau, ask chat Beau.
Yes, I love it. Not with the AI, with the dot on top. I think it should be like pinks, like exclamation mark.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
She's pretty cool. I do like pink. Yeah, so we've used it really just for basic core stuff, but really using the information that we need rather than the big wide world of ChatGPT and its Excel spreadsheet. We've created our own Excel spreadsheet to use.
That is so amazing. And is there any other stuff that you use it for as well? Like, I mean, I'm just so intrigued.
Yeah.
You've actually just mind blown me. I had not thought of its use in that way in particular, and I didn't know that you could get into the settings and do all that. So if you are anything like me, you think you know your rent roll numbers. Well, I thought I did until I had a rent roll health check, and I was quite literally shocked. The money I was leaving on the table was astounding. And this is not something that I'm proud to admit. There were missed management fees, let fees, advertising, and lease renewal fees not being charged, and properties even without bonds. And all of this was happening despite monthly audits being conducted in my business. So how did I uncover all these gaps in my valuable income? Well, I had a rent roll due diligence from my good friend Tazi, aka the Rent Roll Queen and founder of the Tazi Way, a specialist in rent roll due diligence, business valuation, and management rights. The Tazi Way is the innovative force driving the real estate industry. With 25 years of business and real estate acumen, they find gaps and risks in your agency to find undiscovered value. If you'd like to book your business in for a rent roll due diligence, head to the link in the show notes and mention That Property Mum for a 10% discount. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is Kolmeo.
Yeah, you can. You can do, and I learned all of this through Samantha McLean has a training course that she's currently doing online at the moment. And I think there's another one coming. She's got to launch the next one. And it's like there's heaps of stuff in Sam's training. You'll pick what you need and what you don't need, and then you'll fly. You'll go in the direction that works for you and your business. So one of the things that I probably did, so I actually won an innovation award last year with the property management partners and made it to REB awards for the same thing. So I'm going to let you in on what I actually did to get me there on that table. And it's really simple, but it's really cool. So I did a social media post. We were coming back we'd been to an REIQ training in Brisbane, and we were coming back in the car, and the team was in the car and everybody was talking about, because we always talk about what are our problems, what are our roadblocks, what do we need to fix? And they were talking about how tenants were constantly, since COVID, cancelling our routine inspections. Cancelling. Like, sorry, you can't come through. And we had a new person had just started, and the question was, well, how do I know if it's okay to cancel or not okay to cancel? Like, is it okay to cancel if you've got COVID now? COVID's just a cold. Is it okay to cancel because they've got a work meeting during the time of the routine inspection? Holy shitballs. Are people really trying to cancel our day for their day? Like, this is crazy. So we didn't really have parameters around the decision-making ability for the team to be able to cancel inspections or reschedule. That cost the business a lot of money to be able to do that. We were outsourcing routine inspections for a period and then we brought them back in again. So that made a big difference for our cost base when we're having to do that and you've got gaps in the routine run. We had issues with dogs. Like one of my property managers got bitten by a dog at an inspection. I had to go get a tetanus shot. I thought you just got tetanus shots for nails, but you get them for dog bites too. So we've had some really every strange thing that could ever happen happens here at Beautique Reality, but it's always a lesson. There's always a lesson in everything we do. So we got back to the office and I did a social media post. So on the drive back, I jumped onto ChatGPT and I said, Chat, these are the issues that we are having with our routine inspection process. Could you please create me a social media post that asks the questions of our audience of tenants and owners, what they would like to see in the routine inspection process of investment properties? And oh my God, the post went off. I had like, I think we've got about 1,000 people following our Boutique Realty page. But the information that came back there was information from owners, information from tenants, just my friends and people who've been previous tenants or previous owners and their experience. So chat created this post that got engagement, right? But
Wow.
we could put these posts up for rent, for sale,
Yeah.
no real feeling to it. But this was a real, like, give me information post. And oh my God, I was a bit scared because there was a lot of information there. And I'm like, oh, now you've opened that can, you have to do something
To
about it.
follow through now. Yeah.
And this keeps happening. And so I did. So do you know what we did? All of that information, I cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, put it all into a big long section of my OneNote, and then pasted it into chat and said, can you please analyze this data? Because it's data, and tell me what would be the key recommendations to a property management business to fix this process. Oh my God. And then it gave me the solution, like step by step,
Wow.
the whole process. And I can choose to do something about that, or I can choose to go, oh yeah, that's just too hard. But we chose to do something about it. We created in 2 hours, Amanda and I sat down. So Amanda was our newbie. And she helped me with this process. And we went from start to finish. We edited templates of emails of entry notices because they thought the feedback was that we get this shitty email telling us about a routine inspection. We need the dogs locked up, right? That's a valid problem for us. But for the tenant, the pet problem was a problem. So that we had to word that in a way that we could say, we respect that you have pets, but we also need to be safe. So during the inspection, we need this of you if you've got pets. What else did we do? Created a survey. So every time we do an inspection, we now survey the tenants on how we went, and we could measure the feedback. Now, Chat told me how to do surveys. I didn't know how to do surveys, but he told me what program to use. And I'm telling you, this didn't take very long. We
No.
implemented this within 2 weeks.
Wow. That is so good. But the key, I think, is that you have got the feedback and the right data. You're not just thinking, oh, this is what people will probably want, or this is what you've actually based, and you said it's worked. Did it improve the routine process for you?
You know what? Every time you improve something, you got to keep improving it.
Yeah, that's true. Perfectionism, yes.
It has. It's improved it, but it also has created some expectations as well. And that is just business. If we ignored it, problem would still be there.
Yeah.
But now what we've uncovered is more problems. Is that the whole process of routine inspections is not great. As an industry, it's just something we do. I don't think we really understand why we do it. We've just done it the same way for so long. And I mean, God, I could talk for hours about how I think that we could change this entire industry and this business. But yeah, that's certainly where it's uncovering. And I think the world of AI and ChatGPT and where we're going, we've got a new generation of young people that the expectation of the client is going to be very different to what we're able to deliver at the moment. And we are going to have to change and shift and morph. And I think ChatGPT and other AI programs that come out are just going to help us get there faster.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the routine process, you're right. It's like a tick and flick. It's not actually, and at the value of the routines for me is that you go there, you get your maintenance done there, you're not getting interrupted and emails and phone calls coming into the office. Like I've got this loose door handle and, my ceiling fan's making a clicking noise. You go to your routine, you do your routine properly, you get all that maintenance there and then, and you're saving yourself hours of time from dealing with, wasted contact from people. So I think, yeah, there is definitely room for improvement. I mean, same as you, I could talk for hours about all the other improvements. And I was just thinking about ChatGPT then. One thing that I do every couple of months is I get my receptionist to keep a log of all the calls over the last couple of weeks. And was thinking to myself, I wonder if I could put that data into chat and then find solutions, because it's usually maintenance or somebody not being responded to quickly. But I think that would be really good if I could put that into chat and then have feedback for my team at the end of the month.
Yeah, So we do call recordings, and that's what I'm doing now, is downloading all our call recordings and sticking it all into chat to get that scripts and dialogues, but also get the number of, what are our key topics that people are calling about.
Yeah,
So good.
it is. It's amazing.
And it doesn't just tell you that, it tells you how to fix it. Like, it actually can tell you, it analyzes, and then it says, okay, well, you should do X, Y, Z. And then you go, okay, well, if I'm going to do X, can you tell me how to do X? And then you can query it even further and further and further until you get an actionable plan.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Mm.
That's the world is definitely changing. And I guess, for you, you've started your own independent business. You've always had to be an innovator. You haven't had all those big corporate processes and procedures, and that's one of the things I love about having my own business as well. I love that that's how I can bring creativity into. I don't necessarily love the property management side of running a business, but I love the creativity and the things you can implement in the processes and systems and procedures. So is that the same for you?
Yeah, there's no restrictions. I make the rules. I get to go in a direction that I want to. And a big thing for me was always to create a business that that was an attraction business for people to work in. I wanted the phone to ring to say, have you got any jobs? Or an email to come through. I've been watching you. I'd really like to work there. And for me to say no vacancy, but I'll put you on a wait list. That's the if you can create a business that actually takes on board everything from your team, cares about the mental, well-being of the team. I see that if we can do that, then, the two team members that I push to the brink are not going to leave, like if they've got the tools and the information that's available to us now, we have to keep innovating so that we adapt and change for that younger generation. There's a big skill gap, I think. You're seeing property managers of 20 years are still around, like they exist, but the property managers of 8 to 10 years, they're going, hang on a sec, there's more out there. So I think being innovative and not really doing it the normal way, actually then creating new pathways of things to be done a little bit differently, that's what's going to keep people in the industry and make it a real profession rather than just a job you do out of high school.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that as well. Now, we've been around in the same area, and our area I think has unique challenges in property management in terms
That's
of
a nice way of saying it.
socioeconomic, yes, in terms of the socioeconomic, and there's enough challenges in the day-to-day managing our businesses in the industry, let alone having competition with the other property managers, stealing managements, or poaching other people's. Look, we're all in business. We're all here to make money, and I'm not going to sit here and say I have never done it, because I absolutely have at times when I've had to, and not in a aggressive sort of way, but in a passive aggressive way, I guess you could say. But you just brought up an email that correspondence that we had early on in 2020, I think you said, and it was to do with the loss management. So yeah, share that for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was just checking that I had everything ready for today, and I came across an email from the 8th of January 2020. And it was because I sound like I do a really bad job when I talk about this, but I don't. I do a fabulous job here at Property Management. But it
Oh,
says,
there is no question about that. There is no one would ever question that.
there's no gain without loss, right?
That's exactly right. I've used, yeah, I could tell you
Yeah.
some horrible stories over the last few months in my business. So,
Oh, it's this message was you, Kylie, emailing me, the owner and director of I Think, to say, I hate sending off these types of emails to lovely business owners. I want you to know the management came through an email inquiry and I certainly didn't target it. I'm happy to give you client feedback if you wanted it. So this was where we had lost a management. I knew it was coming. We hadn't answered a leaking pipe issue, and it was over Christmas, and the team didn't get back to some emails. And I knew when I picked up the file it wasn't good, so I was kind of expecting that we were losing this particular property. But the nicest thing to have received was an email from you, Kylie, to say, I'm happy to give you the client's feedback if you would like. And that's huge because feedback, you can't be scared of feedback, right? That's your chance to improve. And this email would have been the catalyst for me at that point in time in my business to make sure that my team knew that they had to communicate to leaky taps over Christmas because that was an expectation from the client. And so it was really cool to see that. And I replied to you and I said, thank you for your understanding. And I'd love to hear the feedback. And so I think between the two of us, even though we're, your other office is just here and we are so close to each other, but yet so helpful to each other. And I think that that's the growth of the industry will come from having those property managers that support each other. Yeah, so I'm really glad we talked about that, and I found this
Yeah.
email because that's the biggest point that we can take away from the industry is, yeah, having support groups around us.
Absolutely. It can be very lonely. And as you know, it's really hard work. And those email complaints that you get, I mean, I'm blown away. I have like been sitting in a property manager's chair since January, and I am disheartened by the complaints that come in, like the almost ridiculousness of it and the nitpickiness of it, even though, we've just got them an extra $100 in their rental income.
Yeah,
But we took 3 days longer to respond to an email than
yeah.
they expected it. I just, yeah, it's really, and that's something that I've got penciled. I've got a little book of ideas, and that is something. And the training gap as well, that you mentioned earlier. How do we bridge that gap for people coming into the
Yeah.
industry to catch up? So yeah, I don't know the solutions to those problems just yet, but I've got this massive blowfly hanging around. I don't know if that's a sign. Somebody maybe telling me to stop talking and get off the
Oh,
podcast.
wrap it
Um,
up. I love it.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, there is certainly, it is not without its challenges, property management still, but you're right, having connected people that we can work with will be amazing. So what's
Yeah.
next for you? What's happening with Boutique and all the business stuff and ideas? I mean, I can only imagine you've got more innovation coming.
I do. I've got this little brain that thinks that ChatGPT can definitely support the industry more. And as a part of ChatGPT, I was working on some stuff for the Defence Relocation Network as well. So I'm in the transition, as you know, of selling my rent roll. And that's pretty big. That's something that always I think on every business owner's mind is in the future is, we set up to sell. I didn't know when that time was coming, but a really cool window of opportunity came to me, and that's, yeah, where I've gone. So I'm
That's
calling it my
exciting.
gap year. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is exciting.
I think you deserve it. So yeah, don't rush into anything.
No, but I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play with all the tools and all the people in this industry just to see what happens this year. We run and you attend Property Managers That Wine. So I'm looking forward to being able to do more events with that. I've got RE Bar Camp coming up with Peter Brewer that we're bringing over from Western Australia to here. I've got a few different speaking events. Hayley Mitchell's bringing PM Reach up to Queensland, which is exciting. And you've got PPM's got the Pumpkin Island retreat coming up. I've got an AI conference on the Gold Coast with EXP, Debbie Palmer's PPM conference. There's
My
just
goodness.
all these places that I'm just super excited to network with people and listen, hear what they need, and yeah, to see what's next and be a mum and somehow do the accounts for a towing business. So yeah, it's my gap year, and I'm really excited at this point. And yeah, my biggest priority right now is making sure that the transition for my clients is going well. Retention period. I was saying at the start of the call is that when you sell a business, I think a lot of business owners walk away and they go, "Oh, we're done. Yes, go for the cocktails on the beach." And honestly, I thought that was what happened, but I don't think that's the smartest thing to do when you're selling a rent roll. I think being there and being available and just being a big support because I really do care about my clients and they've helped me get this far and enable me to be innovative and play with them all this time. Probably not the right way to explain it, but yeah, it feels like a bit of a game and it's been great. And yeah, I don't know what's next, but the doors are open. There's lots of doors. Let's see what happens.
Very exciting. I can't wait to see what happens next for you. I mean, you are very well respected. You are very well networked in the industry. So I'm sure there'll be a multitude of opportunities flowing your way. And, I think it's really great to see somebody who's worked so hard. And I know how hard you've worked. It's not easy, and it's lonely at times and frustrating at times. And especially with team challenges, I think that's the hardest thing that I've experienced in business. And for you now to come out the other side, and you've been able to sell your asset, and you've got new opportunities ahead of you. So it's very inspiring for me personally, and I'm sure for anyone listening as well, who might be just starting in the trenches building their business. So well done, you. Now, I'm not going to let you go yet. I just want to quickly ask your favorite personal development tools, resources, books.
Well, at the moment, I read lots of books. Well, I start lots of books. I get very impatient and just action them before I've even got to the crunch line. But that's a great thing about ChatGPT. It can do a book review really quickly and give you the punchline. Right now, I'm working on creating a culture plan for a business that I'm working with. And the book that I'm basing that on is called The Fish Philosophy. So anybody who's got a business with a team that doesn't have a culture plan or a mission statement or values written down, I would highly recommend the book Fish. It's about the pike fish mongering markets in Seattle in America. And it was a toxic pit place to work. Like, you imagine you got fish, you got to hold fish every day, and ice, like they've got to shovel ice in every day to put the fish on it when people come to the market. But these guys now have a world famous business, and it's based on the culture of the people that work in that business. So it's got 4 really fundamental key things that you could base your culture plan around for your business. And it'll make a big difference. So yeah, I would say that would be the one thing I would suggest anybody do right now if they're building a team.
Read that book, Fish. Okay, I'll share a link.
Right. Get your culture right. Get your values right. Know where you're headed. Make sure your team knows where you're headed, so they can jump on the ride. The moment I did that in my business, the moment I got my culture right, once I wrote it down that this is where we are and this is why we're doing it and this is who we're doing it for, that was when we leveled up.
Yep. Brilliant. Love it. Great advice. So how can anyone listening connect with you further?
I use Facebook a lot. That would be my number one. Call out to me on Facebook. I do use Instagram a little, and LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So yeah, reach out. Beau Millier, I think it's under.
Beautiful. Awesome. I will share links to that in the show notes as well. Beau, thank you so much for joining me. I have absolutely loved chatting with you, and you've dropped some amazing, mind-blowing bits of information for me. So I can't wait to go and try it all out.
All right. Coffee date at your office, and I'll show you how to set up your ChatGPT.
Absolutely. Actually, could you come in and maybe just run things for me a little bit?
No. I'm on a break.
And yeah, I know. Imagine that. I'm just going to go and do a day's work in, I think, property on my gap year. Yeah, no, just have a break. Enjoy.
Thank you. I will.
There's been so much talk of stress, overwhelm, and burnout in property management lately. Do you want to know how I overcame all of that? Yes, I hit rock bottom multiple times, but I got myself a virtual assistant. Actually, not just one, but 3. But I didn't just get any VA, I got a PMVA. What are they? Well, they are the most well-trained in the business. And not only that, you also have a backup VA, so that essentially your business is never without admin support ever again. And my health, time, and business has never looked back. Your PMVA can take care of tasks like rent arrears, lease preparation and renewals, maintenance follow-up, routine inspection bookings, data entry, audits, prospecting, inbox management, and so much more. And the best part of implementing a PMVA in my business was that it freed up my time and my team's time to take care of important things like customer service. What makes me feel so safe is that PMVA is owned by Tiffany Botel, both here and in the Philippines, making my data secure and giving me more control over the VA arrangement. So head to the link in the show notes to book in your discovery call with Lady Boss Tiff. One thing I dread doing is chasing up rent arrears and debt collection. It takes up valuable time and it can often lead to conflict. But it is a necessary evil when you are running a property management business. But there is an easier way to make sure your tenants' rent is paid on time and in advance, and it's called RentPay. RentPay is a secure and simple to use payment platform that saves agents time and money with fast, accurate receipting while making life better for renters. To top it all off, you'll never have to worry about dishonor fees or unknown deposits again. How good is that? Cleared funds are deposited straight into your bank account in a single daily payment with accurate receipting and reference numbers auto-assigned, and it's fully compatible with all trust accounting systems. It's a super flexible payment option for tenants who can pay rent in multiple ways, including direct debit, credit card, or instantly pay with Payer ID. Fees are minimal, and RentPay even helps with the rent arrears process by automating reminders to renters when payments are due or missed. If you are currently paying large bank fees, struggling with constant dishonors because the funds aren't cleared when their funds land in your trust, or wasting time chasing up unknown payments, I encourage you to book in a free demo with RentPay and give yourself and your renters an easier way to pay rent. Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.